Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Bear Beer Review number 26. I'm here with my dear friend Thomas, who is a giant and is much taller than me, and so it's gonna be all the entire thing. There we go, that's much better. Today we're gonna be trying Wild Beer Company's Ninkasi beer, and it's got a wax top on that we've already hacked away at, so we've got it half open anyway. So a little bit about the company. They are wacky and they do mainly wild spontaneous fermentation type of beers. Kind of in Belgian lambic styles. This one itself is a saison using saison yeast, and they've also bottle conditioned it with champagne yeast to give it a bit more extra bubbles, and they've also put in some good old Somerset cider in it too. So this should be a really unusual beer, to be totally honest. I believe it's got New Zealand hops in too, so something like Nelson Sauvin. So it's going to be really hoppy, slightly appley, and a bit funky to the smell, or so I think. So I'm just going to crack it on open. By the way, Tom is new at this, so I'm going to teach him the ways of beer reviewing, hopefully, by the time we get to the end of this. Ooh. There we go.
Smooth.
Smooth. Aha. I guarantee there was a lot of smooth smoke coming out the top of that, but you won't be able to tell. Okay, we'll pour it into some glasses. This is 750. Oh my dear lords. Champagne yeast, ladies and gentlemen. Champagne yeast is what happens, and can you see the carbonation at the bottom? How many bubbles there are in there? So we'll let these ones settle a little bit. We'll pour. Tom's a barman, so watch him pour like an absolute champ here.
It really tests me now.
No, he's got it. He's got it. Ladies and gentlemen, he's got it. Ah, so much better than my skills. Alright, well, it doesn't matter because a lot of head in a beer actually helps you get an aroma. Okay, so I would say that is really quite golden coloured, and there is an absolute ton of head, as you've seen, and it's bubbling away, tons of carbonation all the way around the glass. The head actually dissipating really quite quickly. There's some quite large bubbles in it, and it's hazy, as you can probably see. I mean it's bottle fermented, so there's going to be chunks of yeast floating around as well. When we get further towards the bottom of the bottle, there'll be tons of it floating around, I would assume. Tom's already got his nose in. What can you smell, my friend?
It smells absolutely fantastic.
It smells fantastic.
Really fruity.
It's fruity. It's definitely funky. There's a smell of something off in there, so it's a typical Belgian saison yeast that makes it smell slightly off, slightly like rotten garbage, which doesn't make it sound good. It smells appley as well. And there's a little bit of bitterness and hoppy, kind of pine and citrus resin notes. So everything that it says in the bottle, really, you can definitely smell. You can definitely smell the wild yeast in it. You can definitely smell some Somerset cider, something appley, and you can definitely smell a ton of hops in it as well. Mine's gone down a bit, so I might actually be able to get my tongue around it. So chin chin, sir. Knock us those out.
Oh, that's really nice.
Well, first things first, sour. There's a sour flavour to it, coming from sour aftertaste, and that's definitely coming from the spontaneous fermentation and the wild yeast that they're using.
It's really smooth.
Unbelievably smooth. That's the champagne yeast. It's so, there's like a really lovely carbonation across the tongue, but it's smooth and it's rich and it's thick. It's a really thick mouthfeel. It feels chunky, doesn't it? It feels solid and chunky. There's definitely appley flavours, definitely. It's like a nice warm appley body, I'd say. Like a little bit of funkiness coming through, that kind of sour flavour, and then a ton of bitterness on the tongue, because I'm doing, as I always do when I drink lambics, I always like smack my lips as the mouth goes dry. A lovely bitterness, and that's definitely those New Zealand hops coming through there.
You get a really warm throat.
Yeah,
it's almost like you've just had a shot.
Yeah, it does.
The alcohol
has a lot of presence actually. We didn't mention that it's 9%. This, you know, and for a 9%, actually, it's got a lot of wallop for it. I've tried 9% as where it's not been too present. This one, the alcohol is very present. It's very present. And it's delicious. 9% might have an alcoholic kick to it, but it goes down like butter. It's so unbelievably smooth.
Which we also often drink from glasses.
Which we often drink from glasses, yeah. Butter from glasses, melted butter, fit and healthy. That's the both of them.
Fantastic. Unsalted.
No, salted. Oh, you see, we'll be different there. Salted butter. I'm less healthy than him because I have salted butter in shop glasses occasionally. I'm going to pull myself another one. See if I can actually do myself a better one. There we go.
You might find this one slightly worse because you've already got a little layer on the bottom.
No, I think it tastes slightly better because there's more yeast coming through. In terms of flavours, I think we've pretty much covered the whole of it.
I expected it to be a lot more complex. It's perfectly subtle, you know, like they're just right, the balance of flavours. I was expecting, from reading the label,
Smith.
to be talking for about half an hour trying to
juggle flavours.
Flavour I got, but it's really easy to enjoy.
Very easy to enjoy. It does sound. You're right. It does sound a bit complex in the champagne yeast and cider and hops, and it's a saison and it's Belgian and it's got Belgian yeast in it. It's got it's got wild yeast. It's openly fermented, all that sort of thing. But in reality, it's actually extremely drinkable.
It sounds like it's borderline pretentious when you read it on the label, and then you drink it and it's an honest beer. It's just it's
a good old. It's a Southern beer. It's a Southern beer, but it's got a Yorkshire soul to it. It's got a Yorkshire soul. Well, that's what I like to think. It's definitely crafted with love. And you can see that they've not just kind of gone overboard. I guess you're right. It's not all these things have added something to the beer. That's probably the best way to put it. It does sound like they've thrown every single technique that you could in the brewing world into a beer to try and make something interesting. But you know what? It all complements actually fantastically well. And that kind of goes well with the saison style, because all those ingredients don't really kind of scream to your saison. They kind of scream to you an Imperial IPA with being 9%, which is stronger than your usual saisons. They're usually around 6 to 7. They're still quite strong themselves. A ton of hops. Saisons are sometimes quite hoppy, but not with New Zealand hops. Cider, you don't really get that in it, and champagne yeast, you don't really get that in a saison either. But saisons are meant to be balanced beers, and it's remarkably balanced. It's got the one thing I haven't got coming through though is particularly malty taste, which is kind of a little flagging stone of saison beers. But I think the mouthfeel kind of makes up for that. You don't need a biscuity, chunky, chocolatey flavour because
it's a chunky.
It's chunky in itself. It's
texture,
viscous, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the bitters building. And the more I'm sipping, the more
you're sipping, the more it's building.
It's nice. Actually, it's refreshing.
It is very refreshing. Yeah, I think Bear and Tom like this. It's very good. It's very good. Yeah, definitely go out and check them out. I've got another one to do a review of, which is I think it's just one of their IPAs done with spontaneous fermentation. So that'll be interesting to compare this to one of them. And we'll see what we come out with there. Make sure you like, favourite and subscribe and all of the above. And we shall see you again next time. Thank you ever so much. Cheers.
Could have sung that better. Could have sung the cheers.
Oh, should we do it one more time? Cheers. No?
You could have cut me.
Alright. 1, 2, 3. Cheers.